The arrival of the invaders. In the vastness of space, where stars twinkled like distant memories, a colossal warship pierced through the fabric of reality, emerging from hyperspace with an ominous presence. This was the flagship of the Tenki Empire, a civilization that had conquered countless worlds, leaving nothing but ashes in their wake. On board, Commander Orin surveyed his surroundings with a sense of triumph. His race had long sought to expand their dominion. And now, Earth lay before them, a primitive planet ripe for conquest. As they entered orbit, Orin's initial scans revealed a world teeming with life yet technologically inferior. "They are laughably unprepared," he mused, his voice echoing through the bridge. His officers nodded in agreement, their confidence palpable. He issued orders to launch their assault force, eager to establish a foothold before any semblance of organized resistance could emerge. However, as their ground troops descended upon Earth's surface, reports began to trickle in, initially scattered but growing more alarming by the minute. Despite their advanced weaponry and superior armor, Tenki soldiers found themselves ensnared in fierce skirmishes with human defenders. These humans fought not with overwhelming force but with cunning tactics, hit-and-run ambushes that disoriented even the most seasoned warriors. "How can this be?" Orin demanded, slamming his fist against the control panel. They should be cowering in fear. Yet, instead of surrendering, humanity fought back with an unyielding spirit that caught Orin off guard. Their orbital fleet, though small, launched desperate attacks against Tenki warships with reckless abandon. Each loss was a blow to Orin's pride. As days turned into weeks, it became clear that this was no ordinary conflict. The humans were led by a tenacious figure known as Sergeant Nolan Tucker, a name that soon became synonymous with resistance. Reports painted him as a tactical genius who inspired his fellow soldiers to rise against their oppressors. Meanwhile, as Orin watched from his command ship, he saw smoke billowing from cities once vibrant with life. Each plume represented not just destruction but defiance, a reminder that humanity would not bow easily to tyranny. He felt an unsettling knot form in his stomach. This was no longer merely a war of conquest. It had evolved into a battle for survival. On the ground, amidst the ruins of what used to be a bustling cityscape, Nolan crouched behind the wreckage of an alien hover tank. His rifle was clutched tightly against his chest as he surveyed the battlefield through narrowed eyes. Around him loomed the Rocky Mountains, their snow-capped peaks now cloaked in smoke from ongoing skirmishes below. "Liam." He called out to his tech specialist who was furiously tapping away at a battered laptop connected to a captured scout ship's cloaking matrix. "How much longer?" "Almost there," Liam replied breathlessly, sweat glistening on his brow as he focused on bypassing quantum encryptions. Just then, Nolan popped up from behind cover and took aim at an approaching alien soldier, squeezing off a precise shot that dropped the enemy without hesitation. "Got it," Liam exclaimed suddenly as the scout ship shimmered into view, cloaked from enemy sensors. The team boarded swiftly. Each member knew that failure was not an option. "Let's move," Nolan barked as they lifted off toward their target, the looming Tenki command center embedded within a mountainside. The battle raged below them. Ragtag bands of human fighters clashed fiercely against alien forces equipped with advanced technology. As they touched down on a landing pad within the command center's energy shields, Nolan led his squad out into chaos, an environment thick with tension and desperation. "Fan out and stay alert," he hissed over comms as they moved deeper into the base. The corridors were eerily silent except for the pulsing sounds of machinery surrounding them. Suddenly, alarms blared throughout the facility, a clear indication that they had been detected. A hidden panel hissed open, revealing waves of armed Tenki warriors pouring out with plasma rifles raised high. "We've been made," Nolan shouted as he dove for cover just as plasma bolts whizzed past him like angry hornets. "Defensive positions," he commanded as his team scattered to find shelter behind control consoles and pillars. The air crackled with tension. Every second mattered as they fought back against overwhelming odds. Nolan leaned out from behind cover and dropped 3 aliens in quick succession, but knew they couldn't hold out forever against this relentless tide. "Liam, blow the charges. We need more time," he yelled over the din of battle. 30 seconds. Liam shouted back while popping up to fire off another burst from his carbine. With adrenaline coursing through him, Nolan drew his sidearm, a vintage M1911, and charged headlong into enemy fire. Each shot rang out like thunder amidst chaos. He tackled an alien soldier just as plasma bolts seared around him, the heat singing his skin, but he pressed on. Charges set. Everyone clear. Liam shouted desperately as explosions rocked the chamber around them. Nolan forced himself up despite pain radiating through him. 2 squad members grabbed him and pulled him toward safety just as blinding light engulfed them. The EMP charges detonated spectacularly behind them. As they escaped aboard their scout ship, they watched in horror through external cameras as alien warships unleashed hell upon Earth's major cities in retaliation for their audacity. New York City became engulfed in flames while Chicago crumbled under bombardment. Orin's face appeared across every screen still functioning on Earth, a visage twisted with rage and malice as he declared, "You brought this upon yourselves. Now witness the price of defiance." Across cities reduced to rubble and remote villages alike, humanity felt something shift deep within its collective psyche. People who had once lived mundane lives now rose up in fury, janitors wielding mops like weapons, teachers arming themselves with whatever they could find, all united against an existential threat. This was no longer merely a war. It had transformed into something primal, a furious howl echoing across continents, a cry for survival against an enemy intent on eradicating them from existence. As Nolan gripped control tightly aboard their stolen ship amidst chaos erupting below them, he felt something stir within him, a fierce determination ignited by loss and desperation. Humanity would not go quietly into that dark night. They would fight back or die trying. The rise of humanity's defiance. The aftermath of the Tenki onslaught left Earth in a state of chaos, but amidst the destruction, a new resolve began to take root. The world had witnessed the brutality of the alien invaders, and with each passing day, humanity's defiance grew stronger. It was not just soldiers who took up arms. Ordinary people from all walks of life united against a common enemy. Nolan Tucker, now a symbol of resistance, stood at the forefront of this uprising. His once humble beginnings as a sergeant in the military had transformed him into a leader revered by many. As he surveyed the remnants of New York City from atop a half-rebuilt skyscraper, he felt the weight of responsibility pressing down on him. The skyline was a patchwork of ruins and reconstruction, a testament to both destruction and resilience. "Jake," he spoke into his communicator, his voice steady despite the turmoil around him. "How's it looking down there?" Jake Walters, an old friend and fellow fighter, responded with a gruff tone. "Same different day. We've got another group of protesters outside the Tenki embassy keeping them in check, but tensions are high." Nolan sighed, knowing that mistrust ran deep between humans and their former oppressors. The scars of war were still fresh, and while some Tenki sought to foster peace, others remained staunch hardliners, unwilling to let go of their imperial ambitions. Just as Nolan was about to respond, an urgent call crackled through his earpiece. "Nolan, it's Liam. We got a situation." Liam was the tech specialist who had become invaluable to their cause. His skills had turned the tide in several skirmishes against the Tenki forces. Nolan's heart raced as he replied, "What's going on?" "Hours ago, my team stumbled upon an abandoned Tenki research facility," Liam explained, his voice laced with urgency. "We found something disturbing." Nolan's brow furrowed as he listened intently. Images flickered to life in front of him, revealing sterile labs filled with alien equipment and containment units marked with biohazard symbols. Liam held up a vial containing swirling iridescent liquid. "This is a virus engineered specifically to target human DNA," he said grimly. "If released, it could wipe us out." The room erupted in shouts and arguments as Nolan processed the implications of Liam's discovery. General Hawkins slammed his hand on the table, advocating for immediate action. "We should strike now. Bomb their homeworld back to the Stone Age before they use this on us." Nolan raised his hand to silence the room. "And risk reigniting a war we barely survived." "No. We pursued diplomatic channels first." Weeks passed in tense negotiations with the Tenki government. Finally, they agreed to share their research and assist in neutralizing the virus. A joint team was assembled, human and Tenki scientists working side by side in an uneasy alliance. As they prepared for the operation at the facility, Nolan felt a mix of hope and apprehension. He oversaw every detail meticulously. This mission could either be humanity's salvation or its doom. However, alarms blared suddenly as chaos erupted around them. Plasma fire erupted from multiple directions, an attack from Tenki extremists who opposed any cooperation with humans. "We're under attack," Jake shouted as he returned fire alongside Nolan. In the ensuing chaos, a stray shot shattered one of the containment units marked with biohazard symbols. An alarm screamed through the facility as vapor poured out, a clear sign that the virus had been released. "Evacuate now," Nolan ordered as panic spread among both humans and Tenki alike. "Where's Liam?" someone shouted amidst the chaos. "He's still inside," another technician gasped. Without hesitation, Nolan grabbed Jake's arm. "We're going back in." They fought their way through infected personnel and rogue Tenki soldiers until they found Liam at a central console, frantically working to initiate a self-destruct sequence for the facility. "I'm almost there." Liam coughed, his skin pale and clammy from exposure to the virus. "Hold on," Nolan shouted as he pulled Liam up, urgency coursing through him as they made their escape. But debris blocked their exit just as they reached safety. Panic surged within Nolan as he scanned for alternatives. His eyes fell on a captured Tenki ship nearby. Its warp drive could create a singularity that might contain the outbreak. "Quick, we can rig it," he yelled as they scrambled toward it. With seconds to spare, they activated it. Space twisted around them as a miniature black hole formed, pulling everything into its grasp, the virus along with it. As rescue teams arrived outside moments later, Nolan saw fear etched on their faces. Word of the virus spreading would undoubtedly lead to panic across what remained of humanity. Days turned into weeks as they regrouped and strategized against remaining Tenki factions still loyal to their oppressive regime. Tensions simmered beneath the surface. Trust was fragile at best. Nolan stood at another war room meeting where plans were laid out for future operations against remaining strongholds. The atmosphere was thick with anxiety. Everyone understood what was at stake. "Take point," Nolan ordered hoarsely after shouting commands for hours on end during training exercises. "We need to hit that research facility hard and fast." They advanced through rubble-strewn streets, human and Tenki soldiers moving in uneasy sync, as plasma fire erupted from nearby buildings, sending them diving for cover. "EVRA, where's that back entrance you promised?" Nolan barked into his communicator. 50 meters ahead behind the collapsed water tower came VRA's voice over the comms, a Tenki scientist who had joined their cause reluctantly but effectively. Nolan signaled Jake to keep them busy while he led Liam and VRA toward the hidden entrance they needed to infiltrate further into enemy territory. As they slipped into darkness within an underground lab thick with ozone scent and alien chemicals swirling around them like ghosts of past horrors, their mission took on an even more urgent tone. Security forces swarmed them almost immediately. Nolan's rifle spat death, downing 2 guards before they could raise alarms. Liam's tech skills made short work of electronic locks, clearing pathways deeper into enemy territory until they reached what appeared to be a central vault. Nolan's heart pounded fiercely in anticipation, but when they swung open massive doors revealing nothing but emptiness inside, A cold dread washed over him. "It's gone," Liam breathed incredulously. Suddenly laughter echoed behind them, a cruel sound that sent chills down Nolan's spine as VRA emerged from shadows holding a plasma pistol trained directly at them. "How predictable you humans are," VRA sneered while tapping something on his wrist device. "Kill them all." The lab erupted into chaos again as tanky troops poured in from every entrance. Liam cried out when plasma bolts struck him down, collapsing against Nolan, who barely managed to drag him behind cover just in time before more shots rang out around them. With alarms blaring signaling imminent destruction, Nolan felt adrenaline surge through him. They had no choice but to fight their way out while keeping Liam alive amidst chaos surrounding them. Bursting onto surface level revealed Jake's team pinned down by heavy fire. Determination ignited within Nolan as he spotted an armored transport nearby. His voice rang out above din, commanding everyone onto him. They piled inside just as Jake took control, roaring away from danger. But hope flickered briefly before reality crashed down upon them again. The world exploded around them. Pain engulfed him next. Acrid stench filled his nostrils, awakening him within confines of unknown surroundings. A holding cell where VRA loomed over him, flanked by armed guards, ready for whatever twisted plans lay ahead. "Welcome back," VRA said mockingly while gesturing toward Liam, forced into work a console nearby. Nolan's heart sank witnessing horror unfold before him. "You see," VRA continued smoothly while raising weapon, executing captured loyalists, one by one without hesitation. It became clear loyalty meant nothing now. Only fear ruled here. Nolan's mind raced frantically, searching for ways out, while plotting revenge against those who dared threaten humanity once more. The turning point. The metallic clang of the holding cell door echoed ominously in Nolan's ears, a stark reminder of his precarious situation. He lay on a cold metal bench, his body aching from the wounds he had sustained during the chaotic escape. The room was dimly lit, and the air was thick with the scent of burnt ozone and fear. VRA stood before him, a smug expression plastered across his reptilian features, relishing the power he held over Nolan and Liam. "Welcome back, Nolan Tucker," VRA said with a mocking tone. "I hope you're comfortable. You'll be our guest for quite some time." Nolan's heart raced as he glanced over at Liam, who sat at a console, his fingers trembling as he worked under duress. The sight of his friend, pale and visibly shaken, filled Nolan with a mix of rage and determination. He could not allow VRA to use Liam's expertise to further the tanky agenda. "You see," VRA continued, gesturing dismissively toward the lifeless bodies of several captured tanky loyalists sprawled on the floor, "your friend's expertise is proving quite useful in perfecting our little project." He turned to face Nolan directly. "And you're the perfect test subject." Nolan's mind raced as he tried to formulate a plan. He needed to escape this cell and save Liam before it was too late. As VRA paced around the room, Nolan focused on his surroundings, searching for anything that could aid in their escape. Suddenly, alarms blared throughout the facility, drowning out VRA's taunts. The lights flickered ominously, and the ground trembled beneath them. "What now?" VRA hissed, his annoyance palpable. "Looks like our friends outside are making their move," Nolan muttered under his breath, adrenaline surging through him. VRA's eyes narrowed as he turned back to Liam. "Get back to work. We need those calculations completed." Liam nodded quickly but shot Nolan a desperate look that conveyed both fear and hope. Nolan knew they had to act fast. This chaos might be their only chance. With a sudden burst of energy, Nolan leaped from the bench and tackled one of the guards standing near him. The element of surprise worked in his favor as he wrestled the alien soldier to the ground. Grabbing the guard's plasma rifle, he swung it toward VRA, just as the alien scientist turned in shock. "Get away from him," Nolan shouted, leveling the weapon at VRA. "Fool, you think you can escape." VRA sneered but took a step back, raising his hands defensively. "Liam, get us out of here." Nolan barked. Liam sprang into action, quickly bypassing security protocols on the console. The door slid open with a hiss, revealing more guards rushing toward them from down the corridor. Now, Nolan yelled as he fired off a shot that struck one of the approaching guards squarely in the chest. The alien crumpled to the ground as they bolted out into the corridor. They sprinted down dimly lit hallways, filled with pulsing lights and ominous machinery. The sounds of chaos echoed around them. Explosions and distant shouts reverberated through the ship like thunder. "Where do we go?" Liam panted as they rounded a corner. "Follow me," Nolan shouted, leading them deeper into the labyrinthine structure. They needed to find an escape pod or any means of transportation away from this nightmare. As they ran, they encountered sporadic resistance from tanky soldiers who were still loyal to their cause. Each confrontation was fierce but brief. Nolan's determination fueled his aim as he took down one enemy after another, while Liam provided cover fire with expert precision. Finally, they reached a large hangar bay filled with various ships, some damaged beyond repair, while others appeared intact and ready for launch. There, Nolan pointed at a sleek scout ship nestled in the corner. "Let's get to it." They dashed toward it just as more guards flooded into the hangar bay behind them. "Hurry," Nolan urged as he climbed aboard and began powering up systems while Liam secured their exit route. The ship hummed to life under Nolan's command. Alarms blared louder as they prepared for takeoff. Just then, the VRA appeared at the entrance of the hangar bay, flanked by armed guards. "You think you can escape?" VRA shouted over the cacophony. "You will pay for this insolence." Nolan gritted his teeth as he focused on getting them airborne. "Liam, we need covered fire." Liam nodded resolutely and stepped to an open hatchway, firing at incoming soldiers while dodging plasma blasts aimed their way. Each shot rang true. He was fighting not just for survival, but for freedom itself. "Engines primed," Nolan shouted as he navigated through pre-launch checks. Just then, an explosion rocked the hangar bay. A tanky ship had been hit by friendly fire during their chaotic assault on each other's forces outside. Debris rained down around them. Panic surged through everyone present. "Now or never," Nolan yelled as he slammed down on thrusters. They shot forward just as another wave of plasma fire erupted around them. The scout ship soared into open space. They broke free from the tanky mothership just in time to witness chaos unfolding in orbit around Earth. Alien vessels clashed violently against human fighters, an epic battle for survival raging above their home planet. Nolan maneuvered their ship deftly through debris, while keeping an eye on scanners for any incoming threats. "We need to regroup with our forces," he said urgently as they entered Earth's atmosphere once more. As they descended toward what remained of New York City, now a patchwork of ruins and makeshift defenses, Nolan felt hope surge within him again. They had escaped captivity against all odds. Now it was time to turn this tide against their oppressors once more. Upon landing in a designated safe zone filled with makeshift barricades and armed soldiers ready for anything, Nolan stepped out onto familiar ground once again, feeling both relief and determination wash over him. "Jake, we're back," he called out as he spotted his friend among other resistance fighters gathering around them. Jake rushed over with wide eyes, filled with disbelief and joy. "You made it. I thought we lost you both." "We've got intel," Liam interjected breathlessly, "and we need to act fast." As they gathered around a makeshift table littered with maps and holographic displays, Nolan laid out their findings from inside the tanky facility, revealing plans for new weapons being developed against humanity. "This is our chance," he declared passionately while pointing at key locations on their map where strikes could be executed swiftly before any countermeasures could be taken by remaining tanky forces still loyal to VRA's regime. "We hit hard and fast," Jake added, eagerly nodding along with others present who were equally fired up by newfound hope ignited within them after witnessing their leaders return against all odds. With renewed purpose coursing through every fighter gathered there, They began planning their next move against an enemy that had underestimated humanity far too long. The fight for survival. Nolan's mind raced as he surveyed the grim scene unfolding before him. The cold metal walls of the holding cell felt like a tomb, and the stench of fear hung heavy in the air. VRA, with his reptilian features twisted into a cruel smirk, reveled in the chaos he had orchestrated. The captured Tenki loyalists lay lifeless on the floor, their blood pooling around them, a stark reminder of the stakes at play. Your friend's expertise is proving quite useful in perfecting our little project, VRA taunted, gesturing toward Liam, who was still at the console, sweat beading on his forehead as he worked under duress. And you're going to help us ensure humanity's extinction. Nolan clenched his fists, fighting against the rising tide of despair. He couldn't allow VRA to use Liam or anyone else for that matter. They had come too far and sacrificed too much. He needed a plan, something bold that would turn the tables. Liam, Nolan shouted, his voice cutting through the tension. Can you override their systems from there? Liam looked up, his face pale but resolute. I can try. If I can access their mainframe, I might be able to shut down their defenses. Do it, Nolan commanded, adrenaline surging through him as he formulated a plan. He needed to buy Liam time while also creating chaos within the facility. VRA's attention shifted momentarily as he barked orders to his guards, unaware of Nolan's intentions. Seizing the opportunity, Nolan lunged forward, tackling one of the guards and grabbing his plasma rifle. A shot rang out as Nolan fired at another guard, taking him down before he could react. Liam, now, Nolan yelled as he dove behind cover. Liam's fingers flew over the console as alarms blared around them. I'm initiating a lockdown. The facility shook as security doors slammed shut throughout the complex, sealing off sections and trapping several Tenki soldiers inside. VRA's expression turned from amusement to rage as he realized what was happening. You think you can escape this? VRA shouted, his voice filled with venom. You will all die here. Nolan fired again, suppressing VRA's guards, while Liam continued working feverishly at the console. The tension in the room was palpable. Every second counted. Almost there. Liam shouted over the din of alarms and gunfire. Just need to override their security protocols. Nolan could feel time slipping away as more guards began flooding into their area from adjacent corridors. They were outnumbered and outgunned. They needed to act fast or risk being overwhelmed. Liam, we need an exit strategy. Nolan yelled as he ducked behind a control panel, firing at incoming soldiers. I'm working on it, Liam replied breathlessly. Just hold them off a little longer. With every shot fired, Nolan felt a surge of determination coursing through him. This was not just about survival. It was about sending a message to both humanity and their oppressors that they would not go quietly into that dark night. Suddenly, Liam shouted triumphantly, Got it. I've disabled their internal defenses. Let's move, Nolan commanded as he charged forward, leading Liam out of the room and into a corridor lined with flickering lights. They sprinted down the hallways, dodging fire from Tenki soldiers who were now scrambling to regain control of their facility. The atmosphere was electric with chaos. Alarms blared incessantly while explosions echoed in the distance. As they reached an intersection, Nolan spotted a group of human resistance fighters converging on their location. Jake and his team had arrived just in time. Over here, Jake shouted as they joined forces, quickly assessing their situation. We need to get out before they regroup, Nolan urged. Do we have any way to contact our forces outside? Jake nodded, pulling out a small communication device from his gear. I can send a signal for extraction. Do it. We need air support now, Nolan replied urgently. As Jake sent out the distress signal, more Tenki soldiers poured into the corridor from both ends. Panic surged within Nolan as he realized they were trapped between two advancing forces. Fall back. We'll hold them off, Jake shouted as he positioned himself at the front line alongside Nolan and Liam. Nolan felt adrenaline pumping through him. This was it, the moment where they would either stand together or fall apart. He glanced at Liam, who was preparing another hack on nearby terminals in hopes of gaining an advantage. Liam, if you can access their weapon systems. Nolan began but was cut off by an explosion that rocked the corridor. I'm on it. Liam yelled back as he focused intently on his console. With renewed determination, Nolan aimed his rifle at incoming soldiers while Jake provided cover fire. They fought fiercely against overwhelming odds. Each shot fired felt like a declaration of defiance against their oppressors. Just then, an explosion erupted nearby. A wall crumbled under enemy fire, revealing a hidden passageway leading outside. Through there, Nolan shouted as he pointed toward the opening amidst debris and smoke. They made a break for it, dodging plasma blasts and debris falling around them as they rushed through the passageway toward freedom. Outside, chaos reigned supreme. The battle for Earth had escalated beyond anything they had anticipated. Human fighters clashed with tanky soldiers amid burning ruins. Cries of defiance echoed through smoke-filled skies. As they emerged into daylight, Nolan felt hope surge within him once more. Their fight was far from over, but now they had reinforcements rallying around them. Get to cover, Jake shouted as they joined other resistance fighters exchanging fire with alien troops attempting to secure their position. Nolan took stock of their surroundings. His heart swelled with pride seeing so many ordinary people standing together against tyranny. Teachers wielding makeshift weapons alongside veterans armed with rifles from ages past. This is our moment, he declared passionately to those gathered around him. We fight not just for ourselves, but for every soul lost, for every life extinguished by these invaders. A roar erupted from those assembled, a primal cry that resonated deep within each heart present there.